What up, cucks? It's your boy, the Hater, and although obviously I didn't watch SmackDown because I was busy doing other things, I did go look at the results, and lo and behold, something interesting happened. First of all, apparently, Butch is now back to being Pete Dunne. You know, number one, I mean, I'm sure this has been happening for a month or so, at least, because the last time I checked, he was in the Brawling Brutes, but I googled it, and the Brawling Brutes aren't a group anymore, so whatever, it is what it is. What a waste of time that was, right? Like, nobody got anything out of that. Like, Sheamus, Ridge Holland, or Pete Dunne, they all just got held back by it, basically. Right? It is what it is. You know, it was fun while it lasted, but Pete Dunne is now Pete Dunne again, and he's teaming with Tyler Bate. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? This is just another tag team. Now, with that being said, more important things happened on the SmackDown. First of all, Bayley declared that she's going to be challenging Io Sky. And the way that she did this was basically like the Japanese wrestlers in Damage Control have been talking smack about Bayley the whole time, right? And even though there's been no signs of dissension really, and even as close as like Royal Rumble, they were helping Bayley out, Bayley decided to turn on them, but do so in a face kind of way. So Bayley's face again, that led to nothing, right? Like the entire Bayley heel turn led to nothing. It's like she had very little success as a heel. I mean, obviously she was champion, but like, let's be real, the women's title was completely meaningless, right? The standards for men and women are completely different, but more on that on a video that I'm going to make talking about Montez Ford and Bianca Belair. But anyways, obviously the most important thing of the night was the big dog. The tribal chief came out with Paul Heyman and the two other Samoan jobbers, and basically he cut a promo, and the promo was fantastic, right? The promo was like the opposite, the antithesis, if you will, of the Seth Rollins promo, right? In that, Roman Reigns basically said, look, I'm not going to beg you like the other guy. And all of the points that Roman Reigns made were like, because I'm obviously the number one, right? Because obviously I'm the real champion, right? I don't even have to answer any kind of allegations made by the B-level champion, Seth Rollins, right? He's like, this is a title they made, you know, for the loser's bracket, or as I like to call it, the champion amongst the people that cannot beat Roman Reigns, right? That's pretty much what it is. So, Roman Reigns explained that, like, in the promo, he did so cleverly, and his argument, one of the arguments, which I thought was great, was that, like, this idea that he's a part-timer is supposed to indicate that he's not a good wrestler, right? In fact, it's obviously the opposite, right? The less you wrestle, right, the more interesting and important you are, right? That's the function, right? It doesn't always hold true. So, for example, Cody Rhodes doesn't wrestle and he's not interesting, but whatever, right? The point stands. And the idea was, Roman Reigns basically said, look, like Seth, he's like, I work 10 times less than you, but I make 10 times more than you. In other words, meaning that one Roman Reigns appearance is therefore worth 100 times what a Seth Rollins appearance is worth. And this actually makes sense, right? Because when it's time to negotiate the contracts, like I think Roman Reigns is like the second highest paid guy after Brock, right? I think I read somewhere that Roman Reigns makes like 5.3 million, and Seth Rollins is pretty close with like 3 or 4 million or something like that, right? But it's not just who makes more money, right? It's the fact that like one makes more money but has to jump off of a steel cage every month and get injured and break his leg and back all the time, whereas the other one gets paid a little bit more but wrestles like 7 times a year. So there's that. You know what I mean? Like the point that Roman Reigns made was true. Then Cody Rhodes comes out, and basically this was like, I don't like Cody, as you guys know, but this was basically like just Cody making way for better things to happen where he's not involved, right? That's exactly what happened. Cody Rhodes came out and cut a promo about how, you know, he wants the WWE title and he's going to come for it eventually, but not at WrestleMania, right? And long story short, Cody Rhodes went and talked to a bunch of people, legends, you know, friends and family, as if it's like this real decision, right? Like, but anyways, he apparently talked to them, and one of the people that he talked to was none other than the People's Champion, The Rock. So The Rock comes out, right? And he doesn't do anything, but he, you know, he hugs Cody and says something in his ear, probably like, your father would be proud of you, kid, whatever. You know, some of the kayfabe bullshit stuff, right? But the truth is this. Basically, the story reads to me like Cody Rhodes went and talked to people. One of the people that he talked to was The Rock, right? And basically what happened was The Rock said, look, kid, you know, more important things are around here, right? The idea is, I guess, The Rock doesn't have to be at Royal Rumble because what's the point, right? The Rock is still The Rock. So you can have Cody Rhodes win the Rumble. He can go after, Seth Rollins. He can pretend to finish his storyline, which I think he's going to lose, honestly, at WrestleMania. But it doesn't quite matter much. The idea is, clearly now, Cody Rhodes, despite winning the Royal Rumble, insofar as the kayfabe goes up until this point, insofar as that goes, he now has to make way for The Rock. Basically, doesn't matter that you won the Royal Rumble, kid. Two real wrestlers that are more interesting than you will ever be, right, are going to have the main event spot, right? That's how it reads. Because obviously Cody Rhodes wants the main event WrestleMania. That's the point of winning the Royal Rumble. It's not to become the champion or to finish your story. The real prestige is to main event WrestleMania, which means you have to be on the last match of the card, or, in my personal opinion, in the new era with 2 WrestleManias, you have to be on the last match of night 2, right? That's the goal. Whether you win or lose that match is less important than actually being in that match, right? Like if you recall in 1999 and 2000, Mankind, Mick Foley, that was his dream. He wanted to main event WrestleMania, and he got a chance to do that at WrestleMania 2000, right? He didn't win, but it didn't matter, right? He was in the main event. That's what matters. You are in the main event. Now, obviously, if you win the main event, it's a bigger deal too, but you should want to at least try to be in the main event, because obviously you cannot win the main event if you're not in the main event. Duh, right? So the fact is, Cody Rhodes, he went and he won the Royal Rumble to do what Nakamura did, which is get a title shot randomly on Seth Rollins, right? Seth Rollins has been defending his title the whole time. One shouldn't have to win anything to, get a title shot against Seth Rollins, right? Why would I need a title shot against Seth Rollins? Anyways, he just hangs them out. But it is what it is. The good news here is obviously The Rock is likely back. Now, obviously this is not dispositive, right? We don't know for a fact. Just because Cody Rhodes said that he's not going to go after Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, doesn't mean that this is true. You could still have a screw job, right? There's still time. I mean, quite honestly, there's time until the end of WrestleMania when the little, all rights reserved banner thing comes up. There's still time to change the plans, right? Maybe Roman Reigns beats The Rock and then Cody Rhodes comes out like Hulk Hogan did, and wrestles him and wins, right? I don't know, right? But the one thing that I think we can all agree on is that, I hate to say it because it's going to make me sound like a hypocrite, but I don't think that The Rock coming back is overall good. Now, am I more excited about WrestleMania? Of course, obviously, right? You get to see The Rock. That's a huge deal. But as far as I'm concerned, the main event has now been spoiled, right? I don't see a scenario where The Rock is the one that ends Roman's title reign. I just don't see it, right? I really see Roman Reigns beating The Rock after multiple spears in what will essentially be a glorified squash match, right? Like, I get the feeling that The Rock's going to do his moves. He's going to do the Rock bottom. He's going to do the people's elbow. It's not going to be a squash match. It's a WrestleMania main event after all, right? But it's going to be one of those, like, stay down Rock moments. Kind of like when HBK beat Ric Flair, where it wasn't really a squash match, but there was a point, like 80% through the match, where you knew that this was the end for Ric Flair, right? This happens quite a lot in wrestling, right? This, the whole, like, I'm sorry, I love you, kick, right? Same thing, you kind of knew in the Shawn Michaels match. There was a point where Undertaker is just, like, basically looking at Shawn Michaels and he's like, all right, it's over, kid. And Undertaker destroys Shawn Michaels more. Shawn Michaels still kicks out of things, but it's like, this is all ending with the only reasonable conclusion, right? Like the John Cena, Brock Lesnar one, right? Where Cena kicked out a few times, but you knew where this was going. I have a feeling it's going to play out like that. Like 70% of the match, Roman Reigns is going to hit a spear, The Rock's going to show a lot of heart, and then Roman Reigns is going to spear the hell out of him 100 times and then beat him, right? So that's kind of the bad part of this. And then also it's the fact that there's no other side of the coin, right? There's no opportunity cost that is being revealed, because the alternative is Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins for the jobber title, right? Which I have no interest in watching this at all, right? Like, I actually think I'm more interested in seeing who's going to be the United States champion than I care about whether Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins beat each other. As a matter of fact, if it's going to be Cody versus Seth Rollins, I don't see this being one of the main events. I don't see it main eventing 9-1, Right? Obviously, Roman Reigns on The Raw would main event night 2. That nobody would even consider otherwise. But I could totally see, like, whatever the hell they're going to do, Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley. I don't know what's going to happen. I could totally see Rhea Ripley main eventing the other one, right? So, you know, there you have it, right? It's a little bit weird. Now, it could still main event because, you know, you also have, like, Damien Priest. He could come in and do something. I don't know. But the point is, it just feels like a main event of Raw. It's just a mid-card. It's a mid-card match, right? Like, 2 Manias ago, right, this was like the opening match. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it wasn't for a made-up title, but it could have been. Who cares, right? It was like an opening match, throwaway nonsense. Nobody cares about pay-per-view extravaganza on the first night, I believe. So that being said, I don't think it's a good idea to have The Rock, but obviously they're really going for the Roman Reigns is that dude vibe, right? And I do believe that he's going to beat The Rock. Now, the question then, of course, becomes, who can dethrone Roman Reigns, right? And that's going to be a question that we answer in the next video. Cuckolds.